What's up, poker players? Hope you guys have been out there pulling in pot after pot. Let's take a look at some of the cash game sessions from over the weekend. We had 4 sessions, 3 winning, 1 losing, was up 429 at the end of these 4 sessions. Got in a lot of interesting spots, so let's jump right into the hands. The first hand we're looking at is at the 25 NL table. We have pocket queens in the hijack seat. Under the gun, limp opens, and we isolate to 125 5x. We get called from the button and the big blind. And now the under the gun player jams all in. We know this is usually done with a strong hand with the limp jam or the limp re-raise. I could see this player doing this with an ace a lot of the time too when we have this many callers in trying to pick up the almost $4 with a squeeze type play here. I think this is a pretty easy call though. We're only putting in $10. We might run into aces or kings sometimes in this spot, but I think we'll get paid off enough of the time when this player just has an ace in their hand. So I do make the call, and the button comes along as well. Flop is 10 high. Two-tone, we have 1166 in the buttons stack. There's 3465 in the pot. We can pretty much just go all in here and assume that the button will call. So I bet 975, which is actually a little bit less than the button stack, and he completes putting the rest of his stack in. We call. An ace comes on the turn, putting us way behind now. We need a queen on the river, and boom, there is our queen taking down the pot. Just a little quick 4.76% favorite to 100% on the river. That's what I'm talking about. Now we are at the 100 NL table. We have ace queen suited in the hijack seat. Folds around to middle position, who open raises to 2x. And we just call here. The small blind calls, the big blind folds, and we see a 3-way pot. Queen high, rainbow. Small blind checks, middle position bets $4, and we just call here with top pair, top kicker. The small blind also calls. The turn is the 4 of hearts. There's now 19 in the pot. Both these players have a little bit more than 2 times the pot. Checks around to us. We bet half pot on the turn, and we get called by the small blind. There's now 3704 in the pot, and this player has a little bit less than 39 in their stack, and they jam their entire stack in on the river. We are pot committed here and should never be folding this hand against this type of player. Very loose, aggressive player. Hasn't shown down well. Bets a lot of rivers. Going to be making this call, and we see that we are up against a queen 9, and we outkick them for the $92 pot. Now we're looking at a 3-handed table at the 100 NL limit. Small blind opens for 2x, and we make it 7 to go, and this player must have been sick and tired of us 3-betting from the big blind, so they jammed their entire stack in. And look at that hand that we have. Pocket aces. Not quite the hand you want to be jamming into. This is a pretty easy call for us with the aces. See that we're up against the 7-10 suited. They do have quite a few outs with that flop. Have to avoid a jack and a 6 non-club on the river. We are a 86.36% favorite going into the river, and we hit a club on the river, giving us the flush and take down the pot of $103. Betcha he'll second guess that 4-bet jam next time. Now we have pocket aces once again at the 100 NL. We are sitting in middle position. We get an open raise from under the gun +1, and we make it 7 to go, 3.5 times the open raise, and we get called from the hijack player to our left. See a flop of 8 high, rainbow, 1750 in the pot. This player has 55.99 in their stack. We lead out for $9, and we get a raise. A little bit larger than a min raise here, and this is a relatively tight player who has shown down pretty well when raising flops. We don't have a lot of hands on this player, and they are playing a shorter stack, so we can assume that they are a recreational player and just a weekend player here. So I think that the hands that this player would be doing this with has a pretty wide range, including any pair over the board, maybe some suited connectors in there like a 6-7, and then of course all the sets. But you would think that a tighter player like this would slow play a set on the flop flop too with such a dry board. I think we can easily get it in and be ahead of this player's range a good majority of the time. So I call, try not to give away the value of our hand versus their range, and planning on getting it in on the later streets. There's 59.50 in the pot. I just check back since they've shown aggression. They jam. We make a call. Say we're up against nines. Have to avoid a 9 on the river, and we hit an ace and take down a pot of 126.48. Big hand. Now we have ace 5 suited on the button, and we open raise for 3x. We get 3 bets. The small blind has a very aggressive play style. 3 bets a lot of hands, very polarized, only 3 bets 32% of the time with premium hands. So that means they are playing a very polarized range here and probably playing back at us with a wide variety of hands. We are both pretty deep stacked at 100 big blinds each. So I make the call here with a suited ace, and we wind up flopping a boat. Huge flop for us. They check back. I bet half pot on the flop, and we get a call. Turn is the 6 of spades. There's now 41 in the pot. Detective UA has 80 in their stack. Trying to figure out a bet sizing that we can get their entire stack in. I bet half pot again on the turn. That will leave 60 in their stack and 80 in the pot, and they call. River is the 4 spades. They check back. We jam in, and we get a call from ace jack against our full boat and take down a pot of a little bit less than $200. That one worked out to perfection. Now we have ace 10 suited under the gun +2, open raise to 3x, and we get 3 bet by the small blind. Recreational player, very aggressive, 22.2% 3 bet percentage. We are going to be ahead of that player's range, and we can outplay them post flop, being a recreational and fishy number player. So I do make the call, and we see a flop. We flop top 2 pair, but there are 3 spades on the board. Our opponent leads out for 2/3 pot, and I raise in this spot. Our opponent then 4 bets us, and I can see how aggressive this player plays, and to me it looks exactly pretty much what hand they have. I was gonna say ace king with the king of spades, or ace queen with the queen of spades, maybe ace jack with the jack of spades. Chances are pretty slim that they flopped a flush. I mean, they could have some suited connectors in there that they're 3-betting with, maybe king queen of spades, maybe jack queen of spades. But at this point, we are pretty much pot committed and really can't get away from the top 2 pair. So I jam all in, and we get a call, and see that we are up against ace queen with the queen of spades. Big pot with a big draw. We are a 54.9% favorite here. Have to avoid a spade or a queen, and we do, and take down the pot of $211. We were on fire, you guys. Oh, I remember this hand too. The fire continues. We have pocket kings under the gun, open raise to 3x, and we get 3 bets from the player to our left, and we get a call from the middle position player. Not just gonna call here, being out of position against both these players, so I make a 4 bet of $30, and we get a jam from the player to our left. The player to our left has very aggressive numbers. 3 bet 12.3% of hands, but has only 3 bet with premium hands so far. So I do know that there is a very good chance that we are up against aces, but my $30 bet pretty much pot committed us, and I'm not going to be getting rid of kings here against this type of player. So I make the call. See that we are up against aces. Flop doesn't help us. King does though. There's our king. Hit it on the turn to take down a $209 pot. Tables turned quickly on that one, but that could have very well have gone the opposite way. We get lucky once in a while. Every once in a great while. Here's another interesting spot. We have pocket 7s in the hijack seat at a 100 NL table. We open raise to 3x. We get a call from the button, and we get a call from the big blind. See a flop of 7 high, 2-tone, 2 hearts. We flop a full house, 7s over 3s. There's 950 in the pot. Both these players are pretty short stacked. We get a check, and I bet just half pot right here. I want to start building a pot early, and this is a pretty low board. I think we can get a call from a lot of hands right here. But we don't get a call. We get a jam from the button player, and we get a re-raise from the big blind. This one is playing perfectly into us. All we have to do is get the rest of our chips in the pot. We jam all in for the extra $1.38 in the big blind stack. They call. It is quickly a $188 pot, and we are sitting at an 82.39% favorite. We have to avoid an 8 or a 9 on the turn and river. King doesn't help. Ace does not help. And we take down the pot of $185 just like that. Here was our big loss of the weekend though. We have King 10 offsuit in the small blind. Cutoff limps, we complete and see a flop of King 10 deuce. Two-tone, we have backdoor flush draws and top 2 pair. I lead out for 2/3 of the pot. We get a call from the big blind and we get a call from the cutoff player. Turn is the 8 of hearts and I lead out for $5.85 and we get 3-bet to $35.10. It is a huge bet right there, and we can see that this player is a recreational player playing a 4-49 game, 4% flop raise, 49 VPIP. They have a very large range that they are just limping and calling with pre-flop. I could see this player doing this with maybe a King 8, maybe a King deuce, maybe a 10-8. There is of course the chance that they have pocket deuces. I really didn't put pocket 8s in their hand when they called a 2/3 pot bet by myself. Playing out of position, I'm representing a strong hand in that spot. I would expect some of the draws to call, but none of the draws hit. So I didn't put pocket 8s in their range. Maybe I should have. I just thought that was too loose of a call on the flop to call with just 8s. But we got to look at some of the weekend players, and maybe they will make that call. Anyway, I think I'm ahead of most of the range here with top 2. So I'd re-raise here, planning on getting the rest of the chips in. I don't want to let a draw get there for cheap. So they just call here on the turn. Ace is the ace of clubs. I only have 32.75. I know that completes a lot of the draws. I maybe should have just check called the river, which probably would have been a better play, but we wind up seeing that this player did hit an 8 for a set on the turn, and we lose a pot of $200. That was not the hand I wanted to see and didn't really expect to see. I thought if I was going to see a set, it would be a set of 2s. I think this one was probably our biggest mistake of the weekend, but I don't really know if it was that big of a mistake. I think the mistake was made on the river by jamming the rest of our chips in. Maybe we were off on our read a little bit here. Let me know what you guys think about this hand and the $429 that we won on all the other hands. I'll take that. That was a pretty good weekend. Head down to the video description for links to America's Card Room, where I do all of my poker playing, as well as Hold'em Manager, which I use for viewing my hands after the session. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it, share it with any of your poker friends, and make sure you click that subscribe button if you guys have not done that yet, so you don't miss out on any of the future videos that are coming out. Thanks for watching, poker players, and I'll be back soon with a new video, but until then, I'll see you out on the virtual felt.